Sorry, ma'am. Any other questions of the mover of the motion? No? Anyone else to speak? Councillor Fletcher.
Yes, I would just like to move that there be a communication to this council about the basement flooding EA, which basically covers Ward 32, Ward 30, parts of Ward 29, and parts of Ward 31. And it is a major EA that's underway, and that those two things come forward and dovetail at that meeting. The EA won't be completed, it's just being started, but I think councillors need to understand the depth and level of concern around basement flooding and the ability of our current system to manage this, particularly in the areas that are called zones. And that's why I asked the deputant if that area, Kippendavie, was actually one of those what I'll call hot spots on the map that have been identified as severe flooding areas. The Toronto Water, and through their consultant, whose name escapes me at the moment, have large maps. I think I'd like to make sure at least those maps are here for councillors. So when we're looking at, when we're approving or refusing development applications, we're taking something else into account. Now, as far as the official plan is concerned, this may fit with some changes because we're dealing with height and density. But what's becoming clearer and clearer is that there's spots in the older part of the city, and Councillor Vaughan will like to hear me say this, that aren't built for certain types of density, that maybe aren't built for underground, where if they're going to involve that level of density, something has to happen. One of the corners that's a mess is Queen and Jones. The people's basements flood all the time because every single sewer meets there. And the more density and the more development we put in other areas, I say to everybody, when you flush your toilet in the city of Toronto, we get it all in the East End. When all of the water from the north all flows south to into the sewer system. There's a very big sewer across eastern Lakeshore and eastern that were very clogged on that July 8th, 2008. We had the flash flood everywhere. Water was bubbling up. It could not infiltrate. The sewer system was overloaded. That's one of the reasons why the basement flooding environmental assessment is being done very particular for some of these neighborhoods. It's not everywhere in my ward, but it's particular areas, and it's not everywhere in Ward 32. So I'd like to have that come forward. I think it's compelling, and that we need to start matching density and height, all the rest of it, with the ability of our infrastructure to maintain and manage that. And that's one of the outcomes of the basement flooding, is where do we, EA, where do things need to be upgraded in order to manage the amount of water that we're currently using. It's also one of the reasons why we have had such an aggressive water management plan and wet weather flow master plan, and one of the other reasons why most of the wards here in Toronto East York actually don't have front pad parking, because it doesn't allow the infiltration of the water. We're very concerned about infiltration, keeping water out of the sewers. That's one of our major goals in the city. And I hope that all those programs for water efficiency, low flow toilets, low floor shower heads, all of those things, downspout disconnections, keeping as much green space on lawns and backyards is something that won't be discarded or underfunded or thrown out in this new term of council, and I think we're here pretty committed to that. So it's a long-winded water speech, but I don't get to make them very often, but let's have the EA come here and the terms of it and the design and see where those hot spots are. I think that'll help us.